Welcome back to the Chit Chat. I really hope you guys are loving this show because I am loving, what am I, a producer? No, I'm like a host. Yeah, I'm a host. I'm loving hosting this show. I am meeting the coolest people. On this show in particular, I interviewed our girl, Leslie Jespersen. She's a speaker, she's an event producer, and she's a media coach. And she helps ambitious women step into their everyday celebrity. I love that. She helps instill the kind of confidence that transforms careers, brands, and lives. Without further ado, enjoy the show. Leslie, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I don't know why, but lately I've been like singing people's names as an intro. So that kind of just came out from the soul. But I am so freaking pumped to have you on this show. I actually have been reading like your threads and following your journey, and you are so freaking cool. So welcome to the Chit Chat.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That as a mom of teenagers, being called cool is a really big thing. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. How many kids do you have?
I have two, 13 and 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fun.
Yeah. Well, let's just dive right in. I have some questions for you because I love what you stand for, like the everyday celebrity. I saw you put, you talk about that sometimes. I love that embodiment. But before I start asking questions about all of the details of what you do, kind of just give us a rundown of who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Oh yeah, so really I'm a bunch of things, and that's been a lot of my journey is figuring out how I explain that in branding. I am a mentor, I am a producer, and I'm a keynote speaker. So I take all of the things in branding and marketing, all of my past and my journey, and I have created a personal brand that uplifts women, that puts women into the spotlight, not only with the confidence and the empowerment, but also like the actual strategy and the tools that you need too.
Hell yeah. I am here for this.
Yes.
I have so many questions. When you say producer, what does that mean?
You know, I had to figure that out too, because I found that I was a producer for a long time before I knew what my role was. I started calling myself or realizing that I was a producer when I was working in the casinos here in Atlantic City, running a live show every Friday and Saturday night. Wow. And really producers like make the thing happen. So it's a lot of like back end logistics. So for example, this show that I ran was a male review show, very much like Magic Mike. And so wow. I know, right? So it was a lot of talent management, making sure that the talent showed up and was good, but also making sure everything was on time and following a run of show. And I just got such an adrenaline rush from that, and I was really good at it. And I was like, oh, I'm a producer. And then I started doing it in radio and other live events and big festivals, and I still do it to this day. I absolutely love it.
That's freaking awesome. What in like today's world, like, so you're a businesswoman, you own your own business. In today's world, when you think about producing or what you do, like what is the core of what you do, and like who do you find that you are most likely to work with?
You know, I feel like the core of everything that I do, and I had this realization again doing this male review show, is creating an experience that makes people happy and something that they'll remember for a very long time. And so whether that is, you know, someone's bachelorette party, but also I work with the Philadelphia Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is the oldest Thanksgiving Day parade in the country, 105 years old. Like that is creating an experience that will last someone a lifetime. And that is something that I don't take lightly. So at the core of everything I do, whether it's my own events, it's my little monthly events, or my big, you know, annual event, I'm creating an experience for people that they're going to remember forever.
Ooh, that's so good. First of all, you just made me think of my bachelorette party, which was a few years ago now, but it was so badass. My sister was my maid of honor, and we went to Miami, and we had like this whole itinerary set out. We had like a yacht. We had a male stripper come to the house. Like it was talk about an experience. So shout out to my sister. She listens to this. It was like it was like a 5-day trip, which is crazy, but it was so fun. But I digress. back to you planning these events and you helping create this experience, how would you say, especially for those, so the majority of people that are listening to this show are female boss babes, like female entrepreneurs, they run their own business. So let's say, for example, they want to host their own retreat. And this is like a small, intimate retreat, maybe 10, 15 people max. They're going to come to an Airbnb. They want to just host something that's unforgettable. How would you infuse your genius to make it an elaborate and crazy cool experience for them?
I feel like the first thing that people in this situation need to understand is what their attendee is going to experience, what you want them to walk away with, because it can be, that's how you're creating all of the programming, and that's how you're deciding on the location. That's how, like, that will determine everything. Do you already have the audience, or are you using this as a platform to grow your audience? Like, you really have to dive in before you book anything, before you pick dates. You really have to figure out your end goal for both you, your business, and your attendee experience. Like, that's number one. And then I have like a whole checklist that I can go through one-on-one with people. But really, I feel like people say, like, I want to host a retreat, and then they're like Googling, and then they book something, and they're wondering why their messaging, and this is your jam, like why their messaging isn't connecting, and why people aren't booking, because you skipped a bunch of steps.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. Okay. So how did you come into this space? Like, how did you, so you're in New Jersey. I don't think you're from there originally, are you?
I am actually. I have the Atlantic City skyline tattooed on my arm.
Oh,
I'm a Atlantic City girl for sure. I just went and
love that.
walked on the BEACH. I can't say it because my dog's behind me. But
Oh man. That's hilarious. That's
yeah,
so
I
cute.
get to do that in the
Yeah.
mornings.
Oh man, that's awesome.
But to answer your question, I actually grew up in the industry. My parents started a festival locally when I was a kid that was a nonprofit festival to raise money for clean ocean awareness. And they did it for 17 years. So it was just normal to me to be like in the golf cart setting up vendors at 12 and being in
Wow.
board meetings at 15, learning how they're fundraising and all of this. And I just naturally knew how to do it. And I'm someone that thrives on in-person connection. Like, COVID was awful for me because I got so tired of looking at people through screens, and I craved that in-person connection even more. But that's kind of where it all started for me as a business model and creating events for women in business, was that really selfishly, like, I know how to do this, and this is how I want to connect and grow my business.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a question that might take some time to answer. I'm not sure, but why do you think that beyond the obvious, why do you think that you as a human being crave that connection, that in person experience so much? Was there something in your lifetime that made you feel like I need this in order to soak up the experience and feel something from it? Because I'm listening to you, and you've built a business out of this in-person connection, out of this in-person experience. Why does that bring you so much fulfillment?
You know, that is a great question. And I think the pandemic was really like put the pedal to the metal on it, because you don't realize how much something fuels you until you don't have it. As someone who ran a social media agency, and that was cool. And that was amazing and exactly what I needed when my kids were little. And I was, I could do that on my phone while I had babies sleeping on me. But I really needed a sense of self after I lost my home in Hurricane Sandy. I found out my husband had several affairs, and I had lost connection, and I really wanted a way to find that. And I th- I think that just being in rooms that didn't make me feel good is why I wanted to create rooms that did make me feel good.
Whoa. That's some good shit, Leslie.
Thanks.
I love that. Yeah, I want to go back to, so you lost your home in a hurricane, which I'm so sorry. That's
Thank you.
insane. And then you had this crazy moment where you discovered your husband was cheating on you.
Yeah.
How does one come out of that?
Um, because I had no other choice, honestly. It was a very much gradual thing, day by day. Like, okay, today I'm gonna shower. Today, it was a
Yeah.
very, because it all kind of happened at the same time. We lost everything, and then we were displaced, and my husband and I dealt with grief and trauma very differently. He dealt it, and then I discovered he had
Yeah.
been having affairs with over 20 different women over the course of our
Holy shit.
marriage. And it was like the stuff just unraveled. And it was at that rock bottom. Like I had an 8-month old and a 4-year old. Like I didn't really have a
Oh,
choice but to wake up every day and do something for myself. And it wasn't some big grand moment. It was just these tiny acts of rediscovering who I was, what I wanted to be. Like, because sometimes that's the best way to figure out that fulfillment is when you're starting with a blank slate, and
hmm,
realize that's when I started my social media agency, because I was like, oh, let me learn. Like, the world was my oyster at that point. Because when you have nothing, any little thing is really exciting.
yeah. Wow. That's crazy. It's like this common theme of women that are coming on the show. I'm learning like they have hit rock bottom. They've had these moments where they've been like shred to nothing, and then they've built this massive empire. They've become this insanely powerful woman out of all the mess. And I think that's so freaking cool. But I'm wondering, like, when you are coaching other people, because I know that one of your you have a trademark on everyday celebrity, right? Is that like your
It's
thing
in the
that you can't
process. Yeah, that's actually
okay.
an evolving brand. I just kind of like, all right, I'm calling it, this is what it is. And
Yeah.
as we're in the process, um, but I'm sorry, did I cut you off with your
No,
question?
no, no. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
I find that side of things like fascinating too. Like good job like going after that trademark. I think that's freaking cool. So, but outside of that, when you're looking at a woman that you're working with, and maybe you're helping them form an event or whatever it is that you're doing in their business, what separates someone from maybe just like showing up a little bit timidly versus someone who embodies the everyday celebrity? What are some of the characteristics and the qualities that you are like, holy crap, this woman is powerful, versus like, this event is cute, like she's cute at what she does. Like how do you differentiate?
I think that's where the power of putting yourself in rooms comes into play, because it takes, like, I am someone who will always have a business mentor, who will always be working
Mm-hmm.
on her energetics, like, and it takes other people seeing that higher self in you and mirroring it to you. Something that, like, okay, when you're trying to fall asleep at night and you have these dreams and you have these visions, and that's like your deep dark desire,
Yeah.
but you would never. And then when someone else is like, and this is what happened with me with the how the everyday celebrity brand came to be, is I was doing an energetic session and just very casually talking about the experiences that I had, and like the contacts in my phone. And she's like, Leslie, do you not understand what you are? And I'm like, no, it's
Aw.
just, she's like, no, you don't like, and then it got me thinking. We see celebrities, like famous people, and I was listening to your other podcast you did on PR and like feeling famous, and I loved that. But we see them as like when they're on the red carpet. But we also see the paparazzi pictures when they're just out like looking, Adam Sandler vibes, getting their
Yep.
coffee. And we can be both, because I always thought that because I like to chill on my couch in my pajamas and work, that I could never be that level that I know
Mm,
inside I really am. And that shift for me was like, anybody can, like, it's an everyday energy to be
mm-hmm.
in your celebrity. And that
Yeah.
level of Delulu confidence is how people are successful.
Facts. So good. I think that's so true, because it's like I love clothes. Like I love to get dressed up, but I will tell you probably 90% of the time I'm wearing the same sweat set. Like and
Yeah.
sometimes it's not even a set. Sometimes it doesn't match at all. And I think sometimes people see like the clothes you wear dictate how powerful you are, or and I know that's so cliche, like that's so basic, like duh, we know that it's more than that, but that's when you see something, like your subconscious automatically recognizes, oh, she's famous, duh, she is wearing an amazing outfit, she has high heels on, like she's got her makeup done, her hair done. And it is, to your point, like I can be that bad bitch on the couch if I want to.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. I also know that you're a speaker. So when you're called to do a speaking engagement, what are you speaking on?
I have a couple different signature keynotes that I do. The one that I'm doing coming up in North Carolina is like my three pillars that I live by. So it's all about like being at rock bottom and finding that resilience, and the three
Mm,
things that I do to get through and to find that resilience. But in addition to that, I am working on one for the everyday celebrity. And I like to tailor mine depending on the event too, because I think that really creates connection with the audience. That's something I actually teach a speaker training program right now.
cool.
So I have four amazing women in my cohort. And as we're developing our keynote, I'm teaching them how to leave it fluid so that you have your baseline. It's not something that you're memorizing and like, okay, when I step forward with my right hand, I'm saying this word and gesturing here, because I've seen like that's how people are being trained to be speakers right now. And that ain't it. Like
No.
they're robots. And you need
Yeah.
to have that connection with the audience. And so being able to just kind of see, like, okay, who's this audience? Are they all women in business, or are they just, and then
Yeah.
tailoring it, but still having that same thread?
Yeah. When women are entering your program to learn how to be a powerful speaker, why do they want to be a speaker? What is that going to do for them?
My students, it's very holistic. They don't just say, oh, I want to be a speaker, because those are the people I find that don't want to invest in it. They just call themselves speakers and then they get on stage
Yeah.
and they're terrible. Um,
Yikes.
and we've all seen it.
Yeah.
But my students know that the story that they have to tell is so much bigger than themselves. Like they know
Mm.
that there are people out there that need to hear what they have to say. One of my students, Stacy, has experienced such immense grief in her life and loss, and she's still here. And so like that message is going to change people's lives. And she knows
Awesome.
that. And so, yeah, I know, me too. As I like every time she talks, I'm like, you're gonna have everybody in tears.
Aw.
But those are the things that people need to hear.
Hmm. How do they? I mean, I definitely like everyone should go buy your program. I definitely think that it's really important. Like the women that I call in, they do want to be speakers. Like they want to be seen. They're not afraid to be seen. They want to step onto stages. They want to expose their mission. They want to share their message. But I'm curious, how do you help them find these speaking gigs? Like, do you have like an inner connection type of network? Is there a process? What is the way about getting these gigs?
So I do have a speaker agent, but to be honest, I find most of the gigs myself.
Wow.
And it's a lot about shooting your shot and doing things like this and connecting with
Hmm.
people. It's networking, really. And
Yeah.
it's figuring out what rooms you want to be in and being super intentional with that, but also being prepared. I get people that pitch me all the time. I'm like, you don't have a press kit, you have no photos, you have no videos of yourself. So I don't know, you know, what you're gonna look like. And then that's my
Yeah.
reputation as a producer, as an event planner. I've booked people that look great online because they can talk to a screen, but then you put them on a
Right.
stage and all the blood rushes from their face. And so I've seen it and I'm like, oh no, this is so bad. That's actually where my program came from. I was like, it's not that like people have the confidence and they have the story, but someone needs
Hmm.
to, because it's also a catch 22. Like you want to get the gigs, but you can't get the gigs because you don't have the gigs. And
Right.
so my students in the program, they get their first gig, they get professional photo shoot, and we do a retreat where we're workshopping everything. Like I created this to be everything that people needed to jumpstart their speaking career, because it took me
Cool.
10 years to figure it out, you know?
Yeah. That's so badass. Where's the retreat?
So it'll be here. I was going to do it in Chicago because it's really easy to fly to, but
Yeah.
most of my students are local. So I was like, oh, we'll
Hmm.
just come to the beach this summer. Why not?
Yeah. That's really cool. So when they're in your program, are you helping them like form what they're actually going to say, like put their story into words?
Yeah, we start out with figuring out what your overall brand is that you want to support, because on some stages you're allowed to pitch, some stages you're not. And a brand can just be follow me on social media, but a lot of speakers have books, so we start out there, and then we kind of, okay, and then what's your story? And then how do we find an opening hook that is not, hey guys, thanks for having me today. We find a hook that has them like from the beginning, and they're not looking
Oh
down
my
and
God.
scrolling on their phones for 20
Yeah.
minutes.
That's so freaking cool. Outside of like you doing this group cohort in the retreat and coaching people and helping them find gigs, and you being a producer and helping with events, like what is your favorite thing to do in your business? What lights you up the most?
I really think it is creating. I think this is going to be very specific. I think it's the
Mm-hmm.
first 20 minutes of an event, because
Mm.
I am so observant of all of the energies that are walking into the room. And I have an amazing team that has been trained to like identify, like we know from registration who's new, who maybe is coming by themselves, who's coming with a friend. And if someone's by themselves and we see them kind of like this, like, hey, oh my gosh, we are so happy to have you. Like creating that experience where people just, you see their shoulders relax and like, okay, this is where I'm meant to
Mm.
be. That right there, there's no rush above that for me. You could keep your roller
Man,
coasters, like
yeah.
I'll just do this.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool. My sister is also, she's an entrepreneur, and she has this crazy dance fitness business that she built from the ground up. And anyway, all of that to say, she hosts an annual conference, and hundreds of women come to this conference. And I can totally align with what you're saying, because the first night of the dance conference, of the turn up conference, when she's on stage and they do that first song, it's like a 20-minute warm up. Literally, it feels like it is like the room shakes, and
Hmm.
you're like, oh my God, the energy in here is crazy. Like my head's gonna blow up. It's like so cool. Your heart is pumping. So I get that. Like it is like, man, there's a different energy. Like if you're not getting in rooms where these events are taking place, you gotta do it, because it changes the game.
That's where I spend all of my marketing dollars, to be completely honest. I just flew to Nashville last week for a conference. Like that's where I spend my money, because I know once I'm in the room, I'm undeniable.
Oh yeah, that's so true. What do your kids think about what you do?
My youngest is in seventh grade, and he thinks I'm the coolest person ever, which will never
Aw.
get, which who knows how long that'll last, because teenagers, right? Um, my 18-year-old is like, okay, mom, like whatever, it's not a big deal. But my seventh grader, you can tell, because he was 3 when I started my business, and you can tell that he's just grown up watching me. And like
Mm-hmm.
he just did a pitch for like his own podcast, and just listening
Stop
to
it.
him. He has his own podcast at school. The school has a podcast studio. It's incredible. But like listening to him present about it, and like the inflection, and I'm like, well, of course. Like he's literally been watching mom do this his whole life. And he always jokes like, yeah, I've met so many celebrities in my childhood, like because of my mom, you know.
Oh my God, I love him. What a cutie.
It's so cute.
That's so cool. That's really cool. I love that. Is your 18-year-old a girl?
No, he's a boy. He actually turns
Okay.
18 on Sunday. And so now I'm just like, I actually saw a quote in a movie that made me cry last night that was like, when your kids turn 18, you've already spent 92% of the time you're going to spend with them. And I was like, why would you
I
say
believe
that?
that.
Why
Yeah.
would you? So now I'm probably going to make him feel really weird. Like, come spend time with mom.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I think I have mad respect for moms that do what we do and raise, like, I mean, babies are one, I don't know, I'm not a mom yet, but like babies are one thing, but raising teenagers and still being a powerhouse woman and traveling like you are a next level human. I have mad respect for you.
Thank you.
Um, but I'm curious, in your business, what is, because you travel, you go to these events, you are producing, you're speaking, you're going to be on stages. What's the next big thing for you? What are you looking forward to the most? What's your next risk that you want to take?
Oh, I was gonna say one thing, but when you said the word risk, I'll drop an exclusive here. I am
Ooh.
in the process of opening a coffee house in my neighborhood, which sounds like I want to throw up a little bit when I say it. Talk about risk, because when you do online businesses and when you do events, there's risks with events, but I've been so used to balling on a budget, like I can make $500,000 events happen for 15K. And so this
Mm.
is a whole different ball game, and so many times I felt like, what am I doing? What, like every time I read through the health department packet, I'm like, I don't know what any of this means.
Oh my God,
And
I bet.
so that really, like, I love coffee. That's just like my guilty
Me too.
pleasure, but I want to
So
create
much.
a community hub and an event space. And that's what
Dude,
this
that's
will be.
dope.
Yeah.
I am obsessed. I'm jealous. Like that's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying it's happening to put it out there. We're still in the very,
Hmm.
very beginning stages. I still have a whole lot of funding to come up with that I'm learning about as well, and doing the uncomfortable things, asking for money that I don't like to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that's on the plate right now.
Man, that's exciting, Leslie. I am excited to watch that unfold because
Thank you.
that's going to be really cool. That's like every girl's dream is to have like the coffee house that is like, doubles as a bookstore and is super vibey and like people come in and just have an experience. I'm very
Yes,
excited for you.
that's the plan. That's the business plan.
I love that. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I feel like I could talk to you all day. You're just full of life. I feel you have lived a lot of life, and I feel like you have so much to give the world. But I want to wrap this up with asking the one question that I ask all of the guests because I am a content coach, messaging coach. What is the best piece of content advice for your Instagram or whatever that you've ever received and implemented and found results?
Ooh, I feel like this might be controversial,
Do it up.
but making sure it looks in a way that reflects your brand.
Yeah.
And that's just by like studying it. Like, yes, don't let that stop you from posting anything, but it's just proven that when my posts look pretty, they perform better. So like
So true.
spending
It's
that
so
extra
true.
20 minutes can be worth it. And listen, it's changing so much. So like you can't fight the algorithm. You got to just show up no
Mhm.
matter what. And try new things,
Very
cuz
true.
we found each other on Threads.
Yeah, exactly. I love that so much. That's good advice because I think sometimes too, like when I first started, my content was trash. Like it was so bad. Like the lighting was bad, like all of it. But it does not take, to your point, it doesn't take much to just like give it that 1% refinement that is gonna level it up a little bit more. Like now I have a microphone, I have my little mics that I do my chit chat reels with. I have a whole setup in my background, but I literally just got that like within the last year. But I will say adding like investing into those things which wasn't even that expensive and like giving the extra attention to the aesthetic does level up the appearance and matches the power of the brand for sure.
Yes.
So I agree completely. Well, Leslie, I think you're amazing. I hope that when you come here to speak in Raleigh, North Carolina, that I can come and cheer for you and just meet you in person. That would be a dream. So give us a shout when you're coming down. And where can people find you on Instagram or your website? Where's the easiest place to connect?
So my website, my Instagram, my Threads is the Leslie Jespersen Experience. My last name is all E's. It's SEN, so I always like to clarify that. And yeah, I'm most active in my Instagram stories. That's where you find me fastest.
Hell yeah. I will link everything in the show notes description below. So if you want to go find Leslie and join her programs and give her a shout and connect with her, she's definitely a person that I would go follow and learn from. I will make sure I link that all of that below. So thank you so much, Leslie. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your time and just excited to watch you shine.